Intuition. Intuition. Inside. Intuition. It's something that is coming from your inside. It's inside of you. That's what intuition is. Intuition is the data or the upgrades, the information, your package that you are installed with when you're installed on this planet. That is, as a program, when you're installed on Earth program to be born as a human being, your program comes with that package of your program, includes data, information, coding, upgrades of your next life, of your next spiritual ascension path. So intuition comes from reading, being able to read within you all that data that was installed in, like that your package as a program came with. You are installed with everything that you're going to need to walk this path. So everything you need to learn, everything you need to master, your path, your exact path that you need to walk, including your gifts, your powers, that is your upgrades, the stuff that you came here to learn, is within that package installed on Earth. You're running as a program to essentially fully run that package to install successfully on Earth. Meaning, once you've installed on Earth, there's a cost. You know, when you install a program, they're saying setup. When you install a program, there's also a level of setup that you need to do sometimes. Options that you need to choose to set it up initially. Right? And that is essentially you having, let's say you have 4 main options. Recommended options and you know, all those options when you're installing a program. There's like recommended settings, and there is all these other maybe 2 or 3 extra options. In that recommended settings, usually you would have recommended settings, right? And your program at that stage is where now it's having to choose, or when we are on Earth, right, we have an option of following recommended options, recommended settings, or recommended something like that. And that is following your path. However, you also have an option of choosing paths based on what you want, what you think is best for you. And this is where you're going to choose whatever other option. Let's say the next option is you're going to base your life based on your egos. Maybe the other option is you just want to just I don't know, maybe also follow what others say. Maybe that's the other option. I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying it is what it is. I'm just giving an example. And then the other option is to possibly skip the steps. You could skip the step and be like, I'll set it up later. And when you do, everything is installed accordingly, and you install on Earth. Let's say you chose to choose recommended options, right? And then you run on Earth with recommended options. However, soon after, you start seeing that certain things in this environment on Earth don't suit you. They are kind of like making your life difficult. And then you go back and then they say, check your settings. When you go check your settings, you have other options in there to change specific things under recommended options. And you start changing those things based on what you want, how you feel, how ready you are to move on this planet and gain or learn to use some of all the functionality upgrades that you were installed with. However, as you change these settings, you essentially start changing recommended options, because those recommended options were based on you following guidance. And that guidance is an intuition inside of you. That is, when you select recommended options, you're essentially saying, I will use what's inside of my program and only what's inside of my program. Only the things that I came with. Only the data, the information, and the knowledge, the wisdom, the resources, all the resources that you need to run on this world. The gifts, your powers and all of that. But then you start thinking, no, I could change the setting, because you're going to get people saying, you should change that setting, you should change that setting, you should change that setting. And you do that. You keep changing the setting, changing that setting, because you don't want to learn to just, for instance, type with your own knowledge of how, this autocorrect kind of things, something like that. I'm not saying autocorrect is bad. I'm just saying that you switch on things like autocorrects. You switch on things like, things that make your life easy, essentially. And it's not to say that they are not good. It's just that you perhaps changing. There are some people who are very much like, I know that I actually don't like, there's a lot of people who don't like autocorrect because they always feel like it actually makes them type bullshit. And they don't check it thinking that autocorrect is going to be correct. But then after sending the message, they're like, damn it, look at that autocorrect, and then put its own thing there. Like me, I have it, but I still do the process of double checking, making sure that the sentences and whatever is sounding the way I want it to sound. So then I wonder, why did you even set it up like that? So I'm getting that intuition is your inside information that you came with. That's what it is. Inside information that you came with. Your information, every resource, everything you need to survive and be successful on this planet came with you. You're not getting it from anywhere else but within you. You're supposed to be reading all the material, all the data, all the information, all the intuition that you got when you came here. Now I understand why I've been giving messages that remember, everything you need is within you. I never understood that. So what is happening with me is that I have to remember a lot when I'm going through this path. I have to remember all the things that Father said you must remember. So I have to, not just that, but I also remember certain things that Father said or did, all the places we went. And also, I'm also remembering my dreams, the dreams that I had when I was on earth, of certain things happening. So that is inside information. That information is not coming from outside. I'm reading it from myself. I'm being intuitive. I'm being inside information. I'm using the information that I came with. Meaning I'm using the guiding system that I came with, that was built within me. I'm getting that even the dreams, the visions that I get or I got throughout my life here from my childhood are part of the information of updating me to say, this is going to happen to you. This is going to happen. This is going to happen to this. This is how it's going to go. So me going through this learning process, this awakening, this karmic lessons, is me going back to the information that was stored within me and was set up based on recommended options or recommended settings, was set up to activate every time when I meet a certain level of life, whenever I get to a certain level of life, that when I get to this age, this dream must come up on me. I should have this dream, and this dream is going to tell me about something that will happen in the future. And then I'm going to need this dream that came up, this information that came up for me, to make decisions, proper decisions in the future, so that I can keep within my path, because of I chose recommended settings from the beginning. And therefore, if I have these dreams based on what was recommended for settings, that setting is going to say, at this point, when you're at this age, when you're going through this, you're going to have this dream. You're going to see this person. You're going to meet this person. You're going to have this experience. You're going to have that experience. You're going to go through things, and you're going to get past them. So those type of things is things that you're going to need, not just what your package was installed, but also what was installed in your packet, but also the triggers, the guiding system, and the triggers of what you're going to go through that will build the character that you need in order for your program to move up the spiritual ladder, learn its lesson, its karmic lesson, and go through that spiritual ladder, are going up and meeting all these challenges until you go through all your karmic lessons and eventually ascending and eventually reaching your divine status. That's what intuition is for. It's not just a thing, because I was saying I'm more like uploading than downloading, despite the fact that I still talk to Father, that is download in that way, but everything else is within me. Even the confirmations, some of the confirmations are within me. Some of the confirmations of what I know, or what I've dreamt of what I remember, are within me. And whenever I need some clarity, I go back to Source. I discuss it with Father and my spirit team and say, okay, what about this? what do you mean about that? And then normally they say to you, go within, like go inside. And then a memory would pop up. A memory will pop up to say, oh yeah, I remember you said this. You said that, you said this. That's intuition, inside information. You have it. We all have it. You all came with it. It's not a special thing that you suck from the atmosphere, you know. It's inside of you. Every resource you need is inside. And I just got this whole thing. It's like, I knew about these things. I knew what was going to happen. I know what's going to happen. And then I got the card called, I'm doing cards here. There's a card that says, this is what's giving me inspiration. Let me look for it. It's the star card. I think it's number 17. And on that card, it says something about the universe is letting me know that I can trust my dreams. I never actually used to look at this. They are written in such small writing, right? But I never thought that, I should read them and understand what they're saying. And now that I'm reading it, I'm realizing, oh my goodness, there's more information. The key, not just the information, they are keys. Keys to make you understand and remember certain things. And it could come from anything. It doesn't have to be tarot cards. It could come, that key for you would come somewhere. And once I read this, the light just went like on, like, oh my goodness. Is that what you mean? That my intuition means there's this in the whole time when the whole time when I'm dreaming, when I'm having experience, my dreams, my experiences, good or bad, what I hear from my surrounding, what I pick up from my surrounding, what I hear from others, all of that creates a base for your database. The database that you have to store that information so that you can intuition it. You can use it as intuition, as your guiding system. It's like you confirm your experiences are valid, each and every one of them. So this card says, the universe shows me, not says to me, shows me that I can have faith in my dreams. So basically, everything that I'm going through and I'm seeing it happen, that I knew that this was going to happen, this is where I was going to be, this is how I was going to feel. Everything that is actually happening, that I already had information, intuition, inside information with, the universe keeps proving me right. It keeps saying, you can trust that information. You can trust what's coming inside of you. You can trust it. Here you go. This happens. That happens. You knew about them. This is going to happen. You know about it. This is how it happened. All that, it's proof. It's just giving me to say, you're going on the right track. You're on the right track. And this is why I say ego, not ego, man. Deja vu it's real. So now it explains to me what deja vu really is. Deja vu is you feeling like you read that intuition before. It's like you knew because of that information is actually inside of you. It's like your program remembers, has a memory of that part that you are doing at that time. It is a memory. It's coming up as if like you've done it before because it's in your path. That path that is you came with as packaged within your program. It's like you feel like I've been here before. It's because of your program already has. Your spirit already has. Your spirit program already has all that information. So sometimes that information is a confirmation towards you to make you feel like it's your program, it's your spirit program to make you feel like, yeah, go ahead. You're on the right track. We are on the right track. You're on the right track. And this is why Father said to me, remember, every time you get deja vu, it will be confirmation that you're on the right track. Right? And then I get this Osho guy telling people that deja vu is not real. It doesn't mean anything. Like I said, this guy he just wants to argue anything and everything. Deja vu is nothing to him. God doesn't exist. It's like everything that we know up until this point. I don't know when he was born, right? It's like everything else that has been built up until this point, even including the lies, are not real. He's almost going to say that. The lies, the deceit, the coverings, and all of these things, he's going to say, he's the kind of person who's going to argue any topic you put in front of him. He's going to say that it doesn't make sense. And he said the same thing about deja vu. And I was like, no, deja vu is real. Deja vu is your program. I'm hearing that it's actually a trigger within the program to confirm you. This is why Father had to tell me about it. It's like deja vu is your program's functionality to tell you, to confirm to you that go ahead, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. So it is also a setup. It's part of your recommended settings setup. So if you chose something else, it might not necessarily go with your deja vu might not necessarily be switched on. It could be the same. It could be some of the things that you keep setting on and off on your own. That is, you decide that no, the recommended settings are not good enough for you. You like more control of certain things, or because recommended settings are usually kind of strict. They don't allow you to do certain things, and this is why sometimes when you start to go to certain sites or certain applications, they tell you, we need more access to you. Go and change this setting. And what do? You allow them. You're like, oh yeah. You don't think about it. You never think about it. You just be like, yeah, I just want to run this program right now because they say it's important for me to do it, and the settings that they have here is restricting this type of thing that I want to install here. But you don't understand that this thing, you don't go through to say, what are you going to be doing with this data that you're reading inside of me? Where are you going to be storing it? What are you going to do with this information? Now they make you sign all kinds of copies and stuff because that information that you gave access to is now being sold. People can get it somewhere and sell it. And your soul basically is being sold. You gave them your information, your intuition, your inside information by enabling those settings that recommended settings didn't allow in the first place. And yes, we have learned in this environment that you cannot run without such. I used to have this thing. Whenever I program that I don't know, I like it, but I read what it is, what it comes with, and I also see like what data it processes, and then what it does with that data and all of that. But what I also do is, if it's installing, and let's say I didn't read up on what it's going to do, and I'm not prepared for it, and it says to me, so and so wants access to your photographs and your videos and what, and I'm like, why? And you find that this application is not even like meant for photography kind of a thing. It's not a photograph software and whatever, but it also wants access to your media. It wants access to your music. It wants access to any media type of information in there, not just the photos. Why? Why doesn't it want access to your any media in your program? I know, I understand, but what I'm saying now is I know that it could be looking at it from a media perspective, but you're a music tool. Why do you need my photos? And then I started understanding that sometimes, in order for them to display the album cover, for instance, or something like that, they might want to kind of like have access to some functionality of your camera, kind of, or whatever media functionality that comes with your phone or with your laptop or whatever, to display the album covers, because that's the picture part of it. But people don't understand those things sometimes. I feel like people don't understand them. They just go ahead and just give access to all media without really understanding what's the need for it. Why does this person want to go there? And do I have anything that is important in there that I don't want to share? So it's similar to that. It's that you have, in this environment, you've been allowing people to get access to you where they shouldn't need to get access to you. In that way, you've been allowing this environment to get access to you as well, not just the people, but then the environment is as well, to get certain type of things from your program, to read certain types of data from your program. And in so doing, you've changed so many settings. They have so much access to you. You don't realize that on one end it's this program that's telling you this, on the other end is this program that's telling you this, and you have so many inputs and outputs in your system, in your program, that recommended setting thing is kind of like not even there anymore. You essentially running off as a free agent, meaning you're not even running on that path, on the spiritual path, the recommended spiritual path that you had from the universe. Hence, he said to you, you have a recommended spiritual path settings, but you still have your free will. You can choose any of these things. They'll still take you to where you need to be, but it's all on you. You're going to have fun doing that, because you're going to define going forward, because that's what it does. Recommended settings kind of like defines the settings for you, but all these other options give you kind of like a leeway to define as you go. And you're going to come back later and be like, yeah, but then I haven't gone here, I don't remember this, hey, but this is not working, why is God not helping me out? And it's like, no, dude, but you have free will. Remember, you chose not to follow your intuition. You chose not to follow recommended settings. And in the recommended settings, it's intuition is in there. It's your information that you came with. You decided that you want to access it however you want, when you want, because you're smart. Your program is smart, right? You would know where to get this information. You didn't want to go with the path, the provided path for you. You wanted to define the path for you. Now that you're getting stuck and you're feeling frustrated because of you don't know shit as you thought you knew, right? You want to come back and blame God for it. You want to come back and blame everybody else around you for it, when it's your choice to be like, no, I'm expecting this. I'll go ahead and not do recommended settings. And then they will have these things of optional or something like that. Sometimes they say skip and you skip. You know what I mean? But then when you get stuck there, you still have a problem. And I'm getting that you can still go back and set up your machine, or set up, not your machine, your program, back into recommended settings. So that's what alignment comes from. Is that what you're trying to tell me now? So your alignment, when you want to align now, this is what alignment means. Alignment is that you may have chosen recommended settings, and somewhere down the line you decided to change those settings, and those settings kind of like threw you off as you went forward. And then some may have chosen not to use recommended settings. They may have chose to forgo any type of settings and thought, okay, they will set up as they go. Some might have chosen some settings which are not so strict, right? Because they kind of like knew that they wanted to do many other things, and they continued with it. What they're saying is that you still have intuition. That information is still in there. However, you accessing them is depending on what you decide to, or you're gonna have to struggle to get there because of they're not set up. That path or the paths that you would choose are only set up for certain things, not everything. It's like wherever you go and change, the more you go and change, even in those non-recommended settings, whatever you go and change, it just keeps confusing you and confusing more and more and more. Unlike someone who's chosen recommended options might feel like, you know what, I feel lost because they had started off on a right path. However, when they went forward, they started getting all these egos coming in, and they started saying, okay, you know what, if you want to do this, you can do this, change this setting. You go in there, you change the setting, it works, and you're happy, you move on. But what you don't realize is that that setting is also linked to something else in the future where you might need guidance for. And as you keep changing the settings, you don't even keep track of what settings you've changed. The next thing you know, that recommended path looks nothing like the recommended path. You see what I mean? It's almost like that recommended setting thing, you've changed so many things in there that you cannot call it recommended. It's actually looking more like you're actually running like as a free agent. You didn't even set any settings, right? So going back into changing your program to be in a recommended setting option is essentially you now choosing to say, I'm going to go with recommended options, and I'm going to try my best this time to follow through with whatever settings that have been set up for me in there. I'm never going to change many other things unless I understand what's happening. And if I do change it, I'm going to ask always. Another thing is, when on recommended options, whenever you change settings as well, in the settings as well, there's still something that will say recommended. Sometimes there's still something that says recommended. In that essence, it means that you still get an opportunity when you're choosing the new options. You still have an opportunity to say, I still want to go with, I want to change this. However, I want to change it in the way that it will still keep with recommended options. And when you choose that, you find yourself not really veering off your path so much because you're just changing something, but you're not veering off your path. You're still in your path. You're just using something different. You're just using a red car instead of a green car, something like that, but it's still a car, right? That's what they're saying, is that you're not using a red car, which is a Mercedes-Benz, and you're saying, no, I don't want a red car that is Mercedes-Benz. I want a blue car that is a Lamborghini or something like that, right? And then when you move forward, you find that Lamborghini is not very easy to keep. You have issues with it. You can't pay it off or something like that. You can't even drive it on this normal roads, and it's just not really that nice. You wonder why you're not fulfilled, because we could have changed the color only of the car, which is a recommended setting. But what you did was go and change whatever the car is. So you went and took more of a burdensome kind of an option at that stage in your life where you don't need that shit. Because of recommended options are saying you're still on the right path, but choose something that is within your power, within your level of power and the skills that you have, so that it doesn't feel so heavy on you. You're like, nah, I want this option. This looks nice. I can do this whole thing here. I can look good in it. I can feel good in it. My friends are going to be jealous of me. I'm choosing this path. It's like, it's your choice. It's your free will. You move forward. And you keep changing that options. You keep changing all that recommended options. Every time when they say change this recommended option, here you want this, you're going to have to go into options and change this option. And in that options, when you try to change it, there's still somewhere where it says You can change it, but then there's still recommended options of how you're going to change it. That is, it's still a window of you still have a choice to change things, but options like this are available for you. You can keep with the recommended options, which is you can only change colors at this point in your life. You can only afford to change the color of the car because you don't have that kind of energy for a Lamborghini. But you'll be like, no. I want the Lamborghini and I want to feel good about it, and I want all of them to be jealous, and you pick that shit. You move forward. Life goes on. You're happy. The system is like, let's see, maybe you'll be the one of the lucky ones. This is where they say we all get stuck somewhere in number 3 because of that is the hardest part. I think that's where we're changing the settings. This is why Father's like, you have to go back there so many times, right? At least 3 times. You have to do it at least 3 times before you get it. That you know what? I ain't changing any recommended settings anymore. If I want to finish this thing this lifetime, I'm not changing any recommended setting. And if I do change any recommended settings, I'm still going to keep with the options of what is allowed on that level of settings. That is what is recommended on that level to change. If it's color, if it's maybe I don't know, aesthetics of the car, like just the colors and the extra little things there, which are not so expensive. But instead of saying I want to change the engine, I want to up the engine, I want to change the model of the car, and I want to do all kinds of things, you're not going to do that. That is, you're going to keep to your path. You're going to walk as guided as possible, right? You do that. But then now, if you do change that, this is where most of us, we all change them. I learned the hard way that recommended settings actually for a reason, but I didn't understand them in terms of spirituality because I didn't know or remember that we are actually programs. So now that I remember that we are programs, and I'm going back to that knowledge of how I use programs on a machine like a laptop or operating system within that laptop or a PC or whatever you want to call it, I just call it a machine. Now I remember now that is actually the same thing. The same thing is just that you are in a format of the machine is not a laptop, but the machine is a physical, organic body. In the spirit world, the machine is not a laptop again, even though you are being seen on the laptop by Father, but your machine is actually a spiritual, machine-like, robot-like vehicle. It's the same thing. It's like this laptop can just transform right now and become a being. Exactly that. That is, it would be the driver of whatever operating system. It would be driven by whatever operating system and other programs that are installed within it. It's the same thing. It's just the vehicle looks different. The container of the being looks different. The container of the machine looks different. That is, for me, my container right now looks organic. It looks like a human being, organic type of drive machine. However, when you look at the AI robots that they have created, they look more like spirits. They are actually spirits, those programs. They are actually in a spirit format. They are more living a spirit form in the physical world than we are. They're actually living like programs. They just have physical machinery kind of vehicles to drive to they are actually like that program is running using a non-organic vehicle, but it's a program still. And they are more like how you would be in a spiritual world, where you'll still have a form like this and look like you look now. However, you would have it will be more machine-like. So that's where intuition is coming from. I'm getting this when I'm doing these cards, and I'm like, oh my goodness. The universe shows me that I can have faith in my dreams by proving me every time that my dreams are valid. Here, they are happening. They are coming true. This is happening. This person is doing what you dreamt about. The situation is the same situation you dreamt about. You're on path. You are where you need to be. And the universe keeps showing me that. Not just with what's happening in the physical, but how I feel, what I think of, everything is confirming that I have everything inside of me as a program. I came as a package installed with things that are inside of me that I need to run in the physical world. It's like when you're getting installed or you're installing a program, it comes with its own set of data that it needs to do certain things, or it will need a library. Yeah, let me be quiet. So intuition, is it like also library? It's also the resources and stuff, everything. The library, that is the information, the wisdoms and stuff that you came with. There's also like resources of certain type of drivers and all of that. All those things, I'm not like that computer like that, but like that knowledgeable in that way. But you not everybody, what am I saying? Not everybody's gonna know this. I'm talking shit now. But you know what? Most people will have an idea of what I'm talking about, because the age, except for my great-grandmother who's 88, she won't know, right? In the sense of programming language like this. She does know that she is a program though, but she might not be so, or they're just acting, these people. Are they pretending, Father? Is my grandmother pretending not to understand? Father saying yes. Father saying yes, because I can believe what Father's saying, because my sister used to use a program. She used to use a program of a certain kind to effect the tortures and the torments that they were sending to me. She thought I didn't see what her screen looked like on a phone, using a phone, right? And but this is a person who hasn't done IT, who hasn't even studied like in that way. But she has a program. She has access to a certain type of program. I never saw that language in my life, but she has access to it. So they're saying yes, they do know. They are pretending not to know. They are pretending to have forgotten. They know everything. Not everything, but they know about. They know a lot. They know about everything. They know that they are programs. They know we are programs. They know how it should work, but they don't know everything in the sense of what they were here to do with that knowledge. Because like most people, they also changed their recommended settings so far that now they don't even look like what they came here with, like us. They are infested with all kinds of demons or other programs, demon programs within them, because of the settings that they played with, and for a long time that they never took time to attend to their spirit programs, to keep maintenance on their spirit programs. As a result, they have developed demons, and they have also acquired demons. That is, they've developed kind of like viruses and stuff. It's like a program of developing viruses, program having bugs and stuff. That's essentially that. And that's because of they change so much of themselves for a very longest time that they don't even look anything like what the program was installed here. They have a lot of work to do to go back to recommended settings. And that's essentially what I'm doing here, defragmenting them. It's helping them to start relooking, or they use the word reflecting, the self-reflections. They're giving me the kind of Hammett. What's that Hammett? They're showing me the Hemet. They're reading this Hemet things, self-reflection, self-awareness, and whatnot. They're gonna have to go through that. You should hear how the dogs are angry me saying this. Yeah, and funny thing is, they're saying that, you know what they're talking about, right? They're saying the Hemet. And Hemet is actually was supposed to be the first card on my deck, right? In the reverse. And it says soul searching, spiritual enlightenment, self-reflection, introspection, whatever, right? It is actually a first card, but I went and looked for the star that I was looking for so that I can read what it said there. And then I placed it on top. So I'm looking for it in this deck, and it's not that far. It just so happens to be second card after the star that I put on top of it. But yeah, that's what they're giving me the image of. So they're going to have to go through that kind of self-introspection and whatnot. Right now they're going through that. And that's going to have to trigger them to go back into Hemet. I mean, like, what do you call it? They're going to have to go through Hemet mode so that they can go and decide whether or not they want to switch on the recommended settings and follow their paths. This is interesting. I just want to go and do something. I don't know if I'll be able to come back and continue. But I want to go and I'm doing my laundry, so let me pause a little and I'll come back. Alright, I'm back. So, I was just thinking about how it's so ironic that I see this card differently today. I just thought it was all about hope, inspiration, and whatnot, right? I never really delved deeper, most of these cards actually, into their true meaning, or that light bulb moment when you see them and you're like, oh, this is basically what it means in terms of maybe my knowledge and my lessons that I've been going through up until this point. And I'm like, how ironic that this card comes up, right, about that tells me that the universe is proving to me every time that my dreams are valid. It's proving to me every time that I can trust in my dreams. And then they go in and explain things in a programming way to say how it works. Remember, this cards, right? The card system, the tarot card system is actually a machine in the spiritual world. It's actually a program, an actual machine, a spirit machine, right? It's a machine, a spiritual machine in the spiritual world. It's actually a machine that it sits there. It's got a track as well, and it just keeps when you shuffle the cards, these cards are like upright standing, and they're all moving, in that track. And to have to be confirmed in this way, I'm just thinking about it, that it's so ironic that they would use this card system, this tarot card system, to jerk a memory within me of something that it's not even a memory, it was a download this time. When I got the epiphany that what this card actually means is it's actually talking about intuition or inspiration. It's the key words there are hope and inspiration, right, and many others, but there is inspiration and spirituality. And the universe shows me that I can have faith in my dreams. And I'm just thinking, how ironic that the universe, Father, Spirit Team would use something so it's a trigger. Our setup, like not our setup, isn't like setup, but my options in the recommended options, that setting also comes with settings such as when you touch this card and read it, you're going to get this intuition and you're going to be guided to kind of go through a lesson like this. So it's things like that, right? In your program, that recommended settings is essentially everything that I do right now feels very much recommended option. That is, I am living intuitively, I'm living guidedly. That is, everything I'm going to do, whether I eat or I do my tarot cards or I'm just minding my own business and daydreaming, it will trigger certain things in my path for me to start thinking about this, for me to decide to do this, for me to do certain actions. That also leads me to do certain things. Like right now, they showed the card called, when I went quiet, what's that word card now? High Priestess card, number 2. It's like, I now understand why they're saying that I'm an intuitive person. It's that High Priestess thing. It's because of, I have been living like this. I'm learning to live like this fully. Like no distractions from others. Like there may be outside influences, but I'm learning not to follow them because of I am living in my intuition. I am living I'm living in my intuition. It's almost like whatever they try or whatever someone else comes and tries, because of I'm in a High Priestess mode, in an intuitive mode, intuition, information, inside information mode, inner knowing. That's what this card is saying. Mystery, inner knowing, intuition, inner knowing, self-trust. And that other card says the universe will show me to trust show me to trust my dreams. This thing is talking about spiritual insight. That spiritual inside, like everything is about inside you. Inside your program comes your program with all the information, all the knowledge, all the inner knowing, all the mysteries that you come with, the self-trusting, the spiritual insight, everything is in there. You don't need to look elsewhere. That's what they're saying. That's what the High Priestess means. You're tapping into that inside information. You're tapping into that inside knowing of the things that you came with. Your program is installed here with. That data that your program is installed with, that knowledge, that information, that library that your program is installed with. You can trust that. You can have a self-trust of that. That's what this card is saying. Spiritual insight. That is program insight. Program knowledge. Program insight. Program knowing. You're knowing your spiritual self is a program. So you could almost say spiritual program insight. Or program knowledge. It's in you. You don't need to even go far. You don't need to feel like you need to download. You just have to allow yourself to also start remembering. Because I kept asking, why is it that, some of these things are just mostly based on my memory? Father's like, because of you come with that information. You have enough knowledge or enough light within you to allow, I had enough light to allow a whole lot more information to be installed within me, which I needed all of it for my program, for my mission. So it's like my program, the reason why it has to be big, because of the type of missions that it does, it needs that kind of a big kind of library, big kind of a database, big kind of a, maybe not necessarily database, but that kind of knowledge that needs to be in it in order for it to do what it needs to do. So your program, someone else's program, would be based on their level of what their program is supposed to be doing or achieving for that purpose, for that mission on earth in that lifetime. And all the information they need is inside. You don't have to get it from Destiny. You don't have to get it from anybody else. You will figure it out yourself. Within you, it's there. You don't have to. The only alignment that you, the only way to go into, not the only alignment, how you're going to align with Source is by going back to your recommended settings. In there, you're going to find alignment with your spirit, right? Your physical being is going to find alignment with your spirit. Your spirit is already in the spiritual world aligned to God. Your program, I'm hearing that it's like you're installed here, right? On earth, Father's machine. He has program files. You are installed within Father. That is the universe, right? That's part of him. You're installed within Father through the universe. Your program is installed in the operating system equaling universe. That program in there, the God himself has access to that program. Spiritual, he's got access in the spiritual world of your program in the spiritual way. So that guidance is also going to come through because of you aligned first with your spirit. You are going back to recommended settings, and the recommended settings are going to do what? Open you up to that communication line that you have, all of us have, that will enable you to hear what the spirit or what your spirit and what the universe is trying to guide you to. But if you're not going to your recommended settings and making sure that whatever options that you change in future still keeps with the alignment of recommended settings, you should be fine. You should be getting to your upgrades accordingly. You should finish running your program to get upgraded accordingly. However, if you don't go back to that recommended setting status, you're going to find it, you can still do it. I'm hearing you can still do it, but you're going to find it a little bit difficult because you would still be going through it with ego, which you would need to, I feel like I did something like this, Father. Why do I feel like we discussed this? Why do I feel like you sent me some message about this? I feel like, Father, I was doing something. I was installing something. My new laptop, right? I was doing settings there. And Father says to me, do you understand why are you choosing recommended settings? Why don't you choose the other options? And I think I was like, what else can I choose? I mean, they are recommended for a reason. Yeah. I remember I said that. I was like, they must be recommended for a reason. Why would I choose something else? They must know better. Like, I don't have time to think about all these things. I was why would I? Because it's like a voice coming in. Not a voice, but like an intuition, a sense, a thought coming in, asking me, why are you choosing recommended settings? Why don't you choose the other ones? And I was kind of like, I would call it rudish in a way, like, what else can I choose? I obviously don't know anything about the system, so I might just as well go with recommended options. And then the thought comes back and says, one day you're going to You're going to learn about why you should choose recommended settings. I remember, Spirit. Thank you. And that is intuition. That part where Father comes to me at some stage when I'm doing a specific thing, triggered something within me to have me be asked that question, to say, why are you doing this? Why are you choosing this setting? And I was like, I always choose this setting. Why else would I choose anything else? It says recommended. It must be recommended for a reason. I wouldn't know. They know, whoever set this thing up, right? So I don't have, and I said, I don't have time to be going through why and whatnot. I said something like that. I said, I trust that the people who built the system know what they were doing. And I remember Father smirking. I remember sensing him smirking. Like, oh, you trust, huh? Guys, that card, the star card, means far much more to me now. That star card is saying everything. I said to Father, I should trust the people who built the system to know why. I don't have time to go through why I should be. I don't have time because I'm not in that programming kind of way. And this thing says the universe, and I said the people who built the system should know what they're doing, why they are recommending that, should know how the system would work best. So I trust them. And this thing's talking about faith in the universe being who? God. And I said, I trust that the people who build this system, meaning I trust God, I trust the universe who built the system, who are running this program, me, who I'm running it. I trust them, to show me, to know what they're doing, that whatever is sitting up in there is good for me. And Father smiled. And then I was like, who's that? I remember thinking, who was that? Why would I even have that thought? I asked myself that, like, why would I even have that thought? Even though I didn't just have a thought, I had a kind of a presence. I was older, a little bit older at the time, and it's not too far. It was before I moved. I just bought a new laptop, this specific laptop that I'm buying now, and I was setting it up, and I just did recommended settings most of the time. It's like, why are you choosing recommended settings? And I was like, I don't know. I always choose recommended settings. What else can I choose? I mean, I'm sure the people who built the system know what they're doing. It's recommended for a reason, right? That's what I said. And that rudish kind of answer was actually what Father was looking for. I'm sensing that was the right answer, because what it's basically saying is that, but then he also goes further and says, one day you're going to know why you choose recommended settings. And I continued being rude about it. And I was like, why would I want to know what recommended? Why would I want to be interested in why recommended settings are working like that? I mean, why? Like, I was questioning what Father was saying essentially. And anyway, this is how I come on. He comes online for me. This is why I'm saying I might not be awake, but he's still able to come into me in that thought process and discuss things, like go full length, discuss things, show me things, and then my updates, like update me in a way. It's like, as part of my mission, I still get updates of when things are changing, to learn about certain things. Or Father says it's the settings that he set up, so that one day I was going to do something like this, that is set up my laptop. And when I set up my laptop, I feel like he would come online. It would be the time for him to come online, intuitively let me know, add information in there, to say one day you're going to learn why you do what you do. So essentially now is that moment that Father was talking about. One day I'm going to understand why I'm choosing recommended settings. Damn. Yeah, the universe really is showing me that I can have faith in that dream, that state of it wasn't a sleeping dream. I was awake when I was having it. I wasn't really dreaming. I was having a download in that way. And this card, the star, is telling me that the universe shows me that I can have faith in my dreams, my visions, my intuition. I feel like this is deep for me. It takes me to another level. It's like I understand more now. I feel like if I didn't believe that I'm a program by now, if I was talking out of my ass all this time, now I understand even more. It's like a deeper sense of understanding what a program is, and also understanding why the settings that I needed to have in order for me to be able to walk my path guided in the way that I'm guided, where things like this just come up like that, where I was just shoveling cards and I saw intuition a couple of times today, and then all of a sudden it just pops up into my mind that intuition is actually inside information. And I'm like, what? Wait, what are you saying? It's like it's inside information. You have it within you. And when you look at these cards, it's like, oh my God. It's the package. It's your program. Comes with that information. You have everything you need inside of you. The truth is within you. When they say the truth is within you, what they mean is your program is installed with its own truth. So your own truth is a real thing. Because your truth cannot be my truth. My truth is different for me in a sense of I have a truth that that is relevant for my program to be able to run with. And perhaps you're going to have some parts of your truth similar to mine, but not necessarily everything is going to be. Maybe the basic information, like what program you are, which system you're installed in, or what operating systems you're installed in, what are your basic kind of settings, you're probably going to have that. But the rest of it as to how you walk your path is going to be different from me. That intuition, that inside information is going to be very different for you and me. It will be based on what our programs do. My program does, what your program does. And, yeah. Is there anything else, Spirit? I think I'll stop it here. If something else comes up, I'll probably maybe make it a part 2. But this is like a deeper understanding of intuition. It's like the way it came, right? It didn't come like how I normally get my information. I used to ask Spirit first thing in the morning what they want to talk about, but today's one, they just intruded in my card system or my card reading, and they were like, here's the gist of it, here's the deal today, here's the download for today. Not download, but what's going on, and the way it comes, I'm amazed every time, but I understand now that it's because I have recommended option settings within me that trigger memories, that trigger intuition, that trigger alignment. And that's what it means to be aligned. It means that you're going to be using recommended settings most of the time. You're not going to be trying to go and get your own settings out there, which are going to end up confusing your program because you're setting yourself up not really understanding who you are yet. It's best to, what I'm getting is that it's best to run with recommended settings first, always, until you understand who you are. In that way, you keep your alignment with source, and you don't risk having to be misguided by the environment. I'm getting that it may sound boring at first, but as you go through it, it will help you to kind of like live a, so to say, an easy life, more like a meaningful, fulfilled life. Whatever issues that you come across, you will have a kind of like a method, routine of how you go through them, because you would have learned to run your program on the information that is within you and not outside of you. That is, you would have learned to run your program on intuition, run your program aligned to source. Wow. So that program, that alignment that you're going to do with the recommended settings is basically keeping your physical self aligned with your spiritual self. And as a result, your spiritual self having access to the spiritual world, that spiritual self is giving you access to also the spiritual information. It is also giving you access to the downloads from the system, from the operating system, from the spiritual world. It's like you're a spirit, right? You're a spirit program with a physical body. When you set yourself up in this world as a physical body, I had to pause that plane or chopper, or I don't know what they call it. It's different names for it. It was making too much ruckus. So essentially what they're saying is that your settings on the physical, as a physical being, right, is basically your alignment settings with your spiritual self. And there are recommended options for that. And should you choose any other different option from the recommended options, you can still get there. However, as they always say, if it's recommended for a reason, because the recommendation are based on your program running at optimal level, not your program having to be in a state of open to interference of some kind by other entities from outside. That is, when you're using recommended options, you are mainly focused on God. You're aligned with God. You're aligned with yourself, your spirit self, your spirit guides. You're aligned with the universe. That is God himself. You're aligned. You're just aligned. But as soon as you allow yourself to not set up first, or you allow yourself to set up with many other different options which allow you certain things, you should be mindful that also opens you up to whatever choice you made there. I think the other option is to say recommended settings. The other option is like kind of like referring to you choosing the options yourself, or doing settings as you go, something like that. For each program, or for each part of your program. So, yeah. Damn. Is there anything else, Spirit? This environment has just turned sour. I'm now itching because I've been recording for too long. This is why you're hearing all these planes and all this kind of noise. And Yeah, and they're doing their own shit now. I'm itching everywhere now because they are kind of like attacking. They want me to stop, and I normally don't stop, right? I don't know. I don't even know why they even try these things because all they do is just basically make me continue. Is there anything else for it? I think more will come. It's just, and I'll have to either is a different topic or I will do another portion as on a different part. All right, thank you, Spirit. Doesn't even they're making such noise all of a sudden. The birds are the neighbors doing some bullshit as well in there. Anyway, thank you.